Make sure you just unpause when you're.
Okay, Liberty going. Okay. There was also a disabled car on the ramp in the parking lot on the where you come in from Nevada, getting down to one of the lower levels where you and I park. Car is disabled right there on the ramp. So it's been holding up some traffic coming in.
I don't know exactly. There was lots of police and lots of fire and warning bells were coming. It's right where I'm pouring down Oceanside Boulevard. And then I turned up El Camino and I took 76 and I ran into the accident that she saw. Who saw it? 76. So it's just a crazy day. You stay.
Good afternoon, everybody. If you would all turn on your microphones, the green lights. John, green light. So if you're talking, we make sure everybody is on. Okay. All right, this is today, Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. It's 2:05 p.m. We are in the City Council chamber and welcome everyone and committee members to the Citizen Investment Oversight Committee special meeting. I am the City Treasurer, Victor Roy, and I now open the CIOC meeting with the roll call. Member Gallagher, not here. Member Hanson, not here. Member Kagan, not here. Member Pickrell.
Present.
Member Robinson.
Present.
Member Todd.
Here.
And Member Wanamaker.
Here.
Okay. All right, we have 4 of our 7 members present, so we do have a quorum. And also attending our meeting today are Jill Moya, our Financial Services Director, Zeb Navarro, making a guest appearance as our City Clerk. And appreciate that. And as a courtesy reminder, please raise your hand so that I may call upon you when you want to ask questions, because we are recording. And if you would keep your green light on, because we did have issues with the green lights at the last meeting. We want to make sure everybody can be heard. And I called this special meeting to discuss an item that was raised at the last special meeting, specifically whether to create an ad hoc committee for the purpose of reviewing staff proposed changes to the city's investment policy. I understand staff intends to present the proposed changes to the City Council on June 22nd. At the last meeting, I indicated that we could create an ad hoc committee for the purpose of reviewing the changes. Having discussed the issue with the city attorney, I understand this action must be listed on the agenda before any vote can occur. That is why I called the special meeting. Before we discuss this item, I would like to clarify that despite the fact we discussed creating an ad hoc at the last meeting, no meetings of members of this body have occurred. I also want to correct 2 statements I made at the last meeting. First, I noted that former city manager Deanna Lorson was fired. Actually, she resigned in good standing with her resignation, and her resignation was accepted by the City Council. Second, I was asked if the chamber could be cleared to discuss personnel issues. I incorrectly stated it could. In fact, this is a Brown Act committee and the meeting is open to the public at all times. Despite my error, the chambers remained open during the entire meeting. I will note that I have invited the city attorney to provide a Brown Act training to us, just as he is offering other city commissions and committees this Brown Act training. And we anticipate this will occur at our next regular meeting. So thank you, Mr. City Attorney. With that, let's begin the discussion on agenda item 1. And we now move to item 1, which is the consideration of the establishment of an ad hoc committee for the purposes of reviewing the proposed changes to the investment policy. All right, first, I should be asking for any public comment.
Currently, we don't have any members of the public unless any members wish to talk at this moment, but we don't have any requests to
Okay.
speak on this.
All right, then we'll move it to the committee. Is there any discussion?
None for me.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we create an ad hoc committee to go through the proposed changes to the investment
Policy.
policy.
Okay. So I have a motion from Wanamaker. And I can ask if there's anybody wants to make comments or questions, a discussion, or is there a second for that motion?
Somebody seconded.
All right, Member Todd?
Yeah, I guess I just wonder why we're not discussing the policy at this meeting and vote on it. Do we need
We
a
can't.
subcommittee to go do that and then report back to us? It just seems a delay of months.
We can't, I believe we cannot discuss the policy because it's not on our agenda for today. We talked about it at the last meeting.
Yeah.
And that's what we kind of came up with. And so this meeting was just called to create that ad hoc committee.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I understand that. And we had it on the agenda last time
Mhm.
and it got pulled.
Correct.
Correct.
So now we have to redo everything.
Yes.
And I just don't understand that. I don't understand why that happened, why it had to be pulled. Everybody had read it. They were ready to discuss it. And the only issue just seemed to be the agenda was out of order. And I've seen the mayor change the agenda around on his council meeting, so I know that would have been appropriate. But if that's what we need to do, then I'll second the motion and we'll move
Okay.
on. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So now I have the motion and the second. The motion again is to create the ad hoc committee for the purposes of reviewing the proposed changes to the investment policy. If there is any further discussion, Member Todd?
Could we add and report back to the CIOC at when?
At the next meeting.
At the next quarterly meeting?
Correct.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, I'm noting that. Okay, so the motion again is to create the ad hoc committee for the purposes of reviewing the proposed changes to the investment policy and report back to the CIOC at the next quarterly meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a motion, a second. Please vote. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to mention that this committee doesn't have the vote pads like the council does.
Right.
It is being recorded and it is on Zoom, but it's a wide shot from that camera over there.
Right.
So I was wondering if we could do a roll call vote just to make sure that we know who voted
Okay.
and how they voted.
Okay, so I'm calling for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Nobody, and it's, yeah, 4 unanimous. So the motion does carry 4-0. All right, now, the next part to the ad hoc committee is which members of the committee will become part of the ad hoc committee. So are there nominations or are there volunteers that would like to be on the ad hoc committee?
We'll volunteer.
Okay, so I have volunteers. I have
I would like to volunteer.
Member Robinson and I have Member Wanamaker. At the last meeting, we also had Member Kagan was volunteering to be.
I'll nominate Member Kagan.
Okay,
That was her desire. Or
that was his desire.
Yeah, his
Okay, so
desire.
he's nominated. So I just need 3. I can't have 4, right? It cannot be a majority of the committee. It has to be a maximum of 3. So I have 3. We're going to note that. Is there any discussion about the 3 members that will be on the ad hoc committee? Or are there any questions? And then if not, then would someone on the committee make a motion to approve the three volunteer members?
I'll make a motion to approve those 3 volunteer members
Okay,
on the
very good.
ad hoc committee.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, so I do have a motion and a second to confirm that the 3 members on the ad hoc committee will be our vice chair, Member Wanamaker, and then our Member Robinson and our Member Kagan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I don't see any, and that's 4 unanimous votes in favor, and the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to item number 2, which is the review proposed changes to the investment policy to be considered by the City Council on June 22nd, 2022. I would like to remind the committee, we do have an investment policy that is fully implemented and has been working successfully for the last year. The committee may or may not wish to make changes, but let's check in with Jill, our Financial Services Director. I'll begin asking her to present the proposed changes with regards to Section 8. I have agreed upon allowing the presentation of Section 8 for the proposed changes. So, Jill?
Sure, I would be happy. Should I be walking through all of the proposed changes in the investment policy? Or what do you mean? Why are you specifying just Section 8?
We're doing Section 8.
I'd like to have a chance to walk through all of the proposed changes that we have in the investment policy. So
I'm not going to allow
I
that.
can explain to the committee.
I'm only
why.
allowing, Jill, I'm only allowing Section 8. That's the only one we met and I agreed upon. Do you all
This
have,
is section 8.
committee members, do you have your,
Copy of-
Yeah,
oh,
I've got it.
I can
didn't
share
take
his.
it.
there is, okay.
I didn't.
We are on, unfortunately, we don't have page numbers,
Page
But in the-
7 of the
but at the very bottom,
investment
it's
policy.
very tiny. It says page 7. In Section 8, we're in subsection I, correct?
I and J.
I and J, but we're going to do, there are 4 proposed changes in 8, and we're going to look at one at a time.
Section 7, Section 8, and we're going over 8I, please.
Page 7, I and J. I'll give everybody a moment to turn to that page.
Right.
Sentence should say commercial paper.
They're very tiny.
Was there something in here?
Let's
See, I saw the renumbering of them. Okay, this was there, see.
But see, this is,
That's not,
this is
that's not the
not a
updated
current.
copy.
I didn't,
This
I don't
is-
have a
This
current.
is
one.
old, yeah. Yeah, that's
Pull it up on the laptop.
2015.
I don't have a
Sure.
current.
I
one.
can share my copy.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I see here, yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So we're on 8.
and we're in I.
Okay, I just wanted to just quickly,
See, we-
8, boom, okay. Everything same, and
we're going to be doing I and then J. So I has 2 proposed and J
we're
has
going
2.
from 1 to
proposed.
5, 2 to 7, 15 to 30. Okay.
All right, Mr. Navarro, am I asking for any public comment on this before we proceed to the committee?
I don't see any members of the public wishing to speak on
On
this
this,
item.
okay, good. So we're moving on. Okay, so Jill, you want to make the presentation on commercial paper, which is section 8I.
So in section 8, our proposed changes are in I. The commercial paper be updated to allow for 5% of the cost value of the portfolio to be invested in commercial paper issued by one corporation and 7% when combined with medium-term notes. And then section J, the proposed change is to the corporate and medium-term notes updated to match the state guidelines. So all of these proposed changes are in accordance with the state governmental code. And so let's see, to match state guidelines where no more than 30% of total cost of the portfolio can be invested in the medium-term notes. Also updated to match change in section 1 mentioned above. So, or section I, I'm sorry. So they're matching both of those sections. And the reason, so this is in compliance with state governmental code, but it gives us more investment opportunities, especially in the current climate with increasing interest rates. It gives us more options to make investments.
All right, so with regard to 8I, which is the commercial paper, section. Currently, our investment portfolio is allowed to do 1% for the portfolio percentage, correct?
Correct.
And then on the second part of commercial paper, we're currently allowed to do 2%. And we're asking, would you allow us to move it up to 7%? And that is for any one corporation with commercial paper, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so just in section I, so committee, I know you've looked at this before, and any of your comments would be appreciated at this point. All right, Member Todd.
I remember, a couple years ago, I think we discussed the medium-term notes, and we were a little conservative at the time, wanted to kind of hold it back. As I recall, we had some conversations on that. I mean, the state does allow you to go up to 30%. I don't have an issue with that. I just think it's, that's a lot of notes. But I do agree that in this climate, we're going to see a lot better return on those, gives us a little more flexibility. Yeah, I'd be in favor of supporting these changes.
Okay, so the staff is recommending up to 30%. You don't have to go all the way.
That's right.
Which we
yeah.
didn't do before, but I want to remind you, it's not one or the other. There's a sliding
Yeah.
scale in here.
Mhm.
So any comments from this side of the dais?
I'm confused.
Okay, so Member Wanamaker.
Committee member Wanamaker, can you make sure you're talking to your microphone? Thank you.
Where's the, where did the 30% come from? Is that the 15% to 30? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, let's look at
Yeah.
section I first, which is commercial paper, where we want to move. We're asking to move from 1% up to 5%.
Correct.
And then 2% up to potentially 7%.
7%.
Which the state is allowing us to do, but it's based on our municipality and our investment preference.
But we can't have any more than 15% in commercial paper. It says no more prior, that sentence, no more than 50% of the total cost value of the
can-
portfolio at the time of purchase is to be invested in commercial paper.
All right, Member Todd.
I think it says they want to go up to no more than 7% in any one corporation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that's in I,
But
section I.
the entire portfolio cannot be more than 15% of commercial paper.
No, 5%. They want to go, right now it's 1%. They
No,
want to
no,
go to
no.
5.
The sentence before no more than 5%, that sentence before no more than 15% of the total cost value. The sentence
I
before
see,
that,
yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, we're still capped at 15%.
15%.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
Yeah,
I got
Okay.
confused. Yeah, so that doesn't bother me.
mhm.
All right, so again, with 8I, which is commercial paper, the portfolio percentage currently is at 1% for the allowance, and the staff is asking to move it up to as much as 5%. How do you all feel about that? Do you want to keep it at 1%? Do you want to go to 2%, 3%, 4%, or you want to go all the way to 5%?
I have a question.
Okay, Member
Do
Robinson.
Do we know why? Was there any comments from the state on why they increased it so much? What was their intention?
This is all, I don't know for how long, but for many years, it's been these percentages in the
Oh, we just
state
haven't
governmental code, right? We just haven't matched their, I guess, maximum percentage allowed, but this is what we're proposing, that we make
We
these
did
changes to
this.
take advantage of the current economic climate with the rising interest rates.
Okay,
Give us more opportunities for investment.
okay, thank you.
All right. Committee, what is your consensus for the percent in the commercial paper for the portfolio percentage? Again, are we staying at 1%, You want to remain very conservative? Do you want to move it to 2 or 3 or up to 4 or 5?
I think the portfolio percent is not changing. That's still 15%.
Okay,
Correct.
This is, we're now talking about what percent should be invested in with any one corporation,
Corporation.
going from 1 to 5. Yeah.
and any corporation is the next one in commercial paper. We're currently at 2%. And do you want to move that to 3 or 4, 5, 6, or all the way to 7%?
If that's the total in any one corporation for both paper and medium-term notes, I'm okay with the 7%. Yeah.
Should we make a motion?
We'll do that at the end. I'm just gathering the
Yeah.
consensus. What number is it that you'd like to be at for the allowance in the portfolio for the investment policy? So it's the portfolio and then any individual corporation.
Just a quick procedural
Ratings.
question, but committee members can make motions at any time.
Okay, so John is saying 7% right now. I'm sorry, member Todd is saying 7%. It would be okay with him. How the rest do
I
you?
agree.
Okay, so I have an agreement with member Robinson.
I agree.
Well, then I'll go ahead and can I make a motion for I to accept both those percentages
Yes.
at I?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we concur or accept or recommend that we change the policy to go to the council with the 2 changes that are so stated there. No more than 5% in any one corporation for commercial paper and no more than 7% for the total invested in one corporation or entity for commercial paper and medium-term notes.
And I'll second that motion. I can't repeat it like you did.
okay. So I have a motion and I have a second. Let me put the second in here. And any further discussion? All right, I'll call the question then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed are none. So it's 4 saying yes, aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. And now we move to 8J, which is the corporate medium-term notes. Jill, if you want to go ahead and present on why staff is asking to move from a 15% to 30% in the portfolio percentage and the 2% to 7% in any one corporation.
Yeah, so this was, I just covered this, but I'm happy to cover it again. Basically, we are proposing these changes because they are in accordance with state governmental guidelines, and it gives us more flexibility and opportunities to invest in this particular climate with rising interest rates. We just want more options in order to maximize our gains in our portfolio.
All right, committee members, any thoughts on moving from 15 to 30%? Member Todd?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And can I make a motion for both of the changes there? Because
Okay,
the last change is just the identical one before. It
So you're
states
making-
the same thing.
Right.
The 7% would be a combination of both. So we've already approved something like that.
you're making a motion then to move from 15 to 30% and 2 to 7 all the way?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion or a motion, a second to the
I'll
motion?
second that.
That's it.
Okay, Wanamaker? Okay. Okay, I'll call the question then. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, none, and that passes 4-0. Thank you. So with regards to the investment policy at this point, I call upon Jill to provide an overview of the audit process because the audit is a point of reference in our investment policy. We did have questions about the audit at our last meeting, and this may interest the ad hoc committee. So Jill, if you would do that presentation, please.
I would be happy to. So as we discussed at our last meeting, our auditors are LSL. We have an annual audit from these external auditors. They do some interim testing, which we actually just completed. It usually happens around May. And after that, they come back after we close our books, which happens about the beginning of October. We prepare all of our materials for our auditors. So mid-October is when they start the auditing process. And it finishes and we prepare our financial statements about mid-November.
Any questions from the committee? Member Robinson.
Are they doing a controls audit too? Are they testing internal controls?
They are, yes. And we actually asked them this year to focus on the treasury processes and internal controls. So they'll be looking through all of our written policies and procedures, testing for compliance, and then providing recommendations.
Were there any significant deficiencies or material weakness?
We've no findings. No, we have no findings historically, and nothing has been found as to date.
Good. Any other questions from the committee? You all are fine on the audit? Okay, great. So moving on here, all other sections that were in the staff report that you previously saw, today we are considering section 8, and I'm happy that you moved on that. But all other sections are being removed from the staff report by my order because the staff did not follow proper procedures and violated the city ordinance when they submitted their additional proposed changes without my approval. In 2020 and 2021, the Treasury Manager and I met, discussed, and hammered out proposed changes that we both agreed upon, and this did not happen in 2022. Our Financial Services Director, Moya, did have a very brief meeting with me to discuss proposed changes, and I only agreed upon Section 8. I did not agree upon the other sections, and yet they circumvented my authority and submitted their proposed changes to you anyway. I will now read the charter and ordinance to you so that you have a clear understanding as to who has the authority and who does not. So in the city charter, and we are a charter city, Chapter 2, Article 4 is the office of the city treasurer is established. And Section 18 lists the duties, and it does state clearly, the city treasurer shall have the duty to recommend additions, deletions, or modifications to the investment policy for consideration by the council. Note that it does not give the authority to the deputy city treasurer, the financial services director, or the treasury manager, only to the city treasurer. Therefore, any and or all additional investment policy proposed changes will undergo a further review, as I stated at the last meeting, and we now have an ad hoc committee formed for that purpose. And this shall be noted in the staff report, which will go to the city council on June 22nd. Let the ad hoc committee do their work and return to us with their report. All right, is there any comment from the committee? Okay, without, okay. Jill, go ahead.
As we discussed in the last committee meeting, this is an advisory committee. So we, we want to discuss the investment policy. We want your recommendations. We want to have that time to discuss and see what, you would like us to bring forward, what your recommendations are. If it so happens that your recommendations are different than staff's recommendations, then that will be we'll have that in the body of the staff report so city council can see what's been recommended by both parties. But the ordinance that you just read does say that it's your recommendation that staff must take into consideration. So I have seen, I've talked to you and I've seen your
No, let
emails of
me,
your
I have to interrupt
recommendations.
you there. It doesn't say anything about the staff. It says the city treasurer has the duty, not you and not the treasury manager.
To
So-
recommend, right? For
To
consideration.
make the any
Right.
recommendations.
Right, okay. So
Okay.
yeah, we're happy to listen, hear your recommendations. We can include that in the body of the report.
But you
That's-
you may not move forward with your agenda in this without my approval.
Yes, I can.
You have to,
Yes. We can, we just need to make sure that we know what your recommendations are. We will bring that forward to
Right,
council. But
but-
staff also could have their own recommendations. And so then it would be up to council to decide on how to
Okay.
move forward.
Member Todd.
Listening to the two of you, you're talking about two different things. You're talking about the committee, which I agree, totally advisory. Yeah, you could throw it out. The other side of this is the treasurer.
Mhm.
Under the charter,
Move forward without the treasurer's approval. That's absolute.
yeah, that's the ordinance.
That's.
That's the law of the city of Oceanside. So I agreed when you came to my office and we sat down and looked briefly over the changes that you were proposing, you and Steve were proposing. And I agreed with you on the Section 8 that we can move forward with that. That's fine. But the rest of the changes I did not approve. You submitted them anyway. And that's where I'm striking them from the record. The report will be altered to reflect that. And it will reflect that the ad hoc committee was formed in order to do the further review of the investment policy for any other proposed changes. That's all we're doing and moving forward with today. So with that, any other comments from the committee?
I would just.
Member
Just,
Todd.
And the way I read that is you're just asking the committee for advice to help you make your decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's, yeah, okay.
Right.
Thank you.
So, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Member Todd.
I just have a minute question
Clerk.
here. So under item number 2, it was agendized as review of proposed changes to investment policy to be considered by the city council on June 22nd, 2022. The committee today only approved the sections relating to commercial paper and the corporate medium-term notes. As far as the remainder of the proposed changes to the investment policy, are you rejecting those or are you making a motion to send it to the ad hoc committee for further review?
By my order, because I did not agree with what was being proposed. And I want the committee to have more time for further review of this issue.
Okay,
Because the staff was not following the procedures as
Would-
they had been historically in 2019, 2020.
so
and
would you like
2021.
to have someone make a motion to that fact?
Sure, I can do that. Would somebody make that motion?
What is it?
That you would be tabling the proposed changes until further review by the city treasurer?
Any other changes?
Any other changes?
Right,
As I understand it, you have pulled those changes.
I did.
You have as a treasurer, nothing to do with us. You have
Right.
pulled those things. And now you're going to ask us to look at them and come back to you with a recommendation. I mean, we're not deciding whether or not to send them to the council or anything.
Right,
You've already pulled those.
that's right.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm ordering the staff to revise the report to reflect that.
So you're directing staff?
I am.
Okay.
So,
So just make sure it's reflected in the minutes as direction to staff
okay.
to whatever your desired
On
changes
item
are.
2.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. So we're moving on to item 3, which is the public input and items not on the agenda. I didn't receive any correspondence from the public. However, if anybody from the public wishes to step up to the podium, you're welcome to do so at this time. Okay. All right, seeing nobody rising, then finally, our business is concluded for the day. And as the city treasurer, I thank all of our committee members for their time and dedication to this important work. as citizens of Oceanside. Again, thank you everyone for attending. The Citizen Investment Oversight Committee will reconvene at its next regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday, August 9, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. here in the City Council chamber. And at this time, I adjourn the meeting at 2:40.
Now we're doing things in the right order. Right? Now we're doing things in the right order.
Now you have an ad hoc.
Well, yeah, and we can make recommendations to you, right?
August 9th.
Okay, because well, there's some history that sounds like there's history. I know, like in 2021, you did something. I have no idea.